The mysterious signal. Captain Zila Vorn stood motionless on the command deck of the Celestial Talon, her forearms crossed tightly against her chitinous chest. 6 years patrolling the outer reaches of Galactic Alliance space had taught her patience, but something about today felt different. The view screen displayed nothing but endless stars and the purple-tinged nebula that marked the boundary of charted space. "Captain, we're picking up an anomalous signal." First Officer Krell's voice broke the silence. The Navarine's skin rippled with blue bioluminescent patterns, a sign of intense concentration in his species. Zila uncrossed her arms. "Source." "That's the strange part," Krell replied, manipulating the holographic controls with practiced ease. "It's coming from the void sector." A hush fell over the bridge. Every officer knew what that meant. The void sector had been quarantined for over 3 centuries, not since the Great Collapse when humanity had seemingly vanished from the galactic stage. No ship had returned from there in living memory. "Specifics," Zela demanded, her compound eyes narrowing. "Signal pattern is unlike anything in our database," reported Talus, the ship's Solarian sensor officer. Her crystalline structure caught the light as she turned. "But there's something familiar about it, almost like an old Earth emergency beacon, but far more complex." Zila's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Humanity, once the driving force of galactic exploration, now little more than a memory. The few surviving human colonies were scattered, disorganized, shadows of their former civilization. Whatever greatness they once possessed had been lost when their homeworld fell. "Plot a course." "We investigate," Zila ordered. "Captain," Krell cautioned, "Alliance protocols specifically forbid." "I'm well aware of protocols, First Officer," Zila interrupted. "But that signal shouldn't exist. And if there's even a chance it's of human origin, Command will want to know." The Celestial Talon's engines hummed as the sleek patrol vessel adjusted course, heading toward the Forbidden Zone. As they approached the boundary, sensor readings became increasingly erratic. "Gravitational distortions increasing," Talus reported. "Radiation levels fluctuating. Whatever happened here centuries ago, it left permanent scars in space-time." "Maintain course," Zela commanded. Hours later, they detected it, a dark shape against the backdrop of stars, barely visible even with enhanced sensors. As they drew closer, the outline became clearer. A ship, ancient by any standard, its hull design unlike anything in modern fleets. "Scan it," Zila ordered. "I'm trying, Captain," Talus responded, frustration evident in her voice. "Our scans keep bouncing back. It's like the vessel is both there and not there simultaneously." "Impossible," muttered Krell. "Magnify visual," Zela commanded. The view screen shifted, bringing the mysterious vessel into focus. It was unmistakably of human design, but unlike any historical record in their database. The hull was midnight black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. No visible engines, no weapons arrays, no standard communication arrays. Just smooth, uninterrupted surfaces with occasional geometric patterns etched into the metal. "It appears to be approximately 3 kilometers in length," Talus reported. "No energy signatures, no life signs." "Wait." She paused, adjusting her readings. "There's something at the core, a power source, but it doesn't make sense." "Explain," Zela demanded. "Its reading is both organic and mechanical, and impossibly old." Zela made her decision. "Prep a boarding team. Full environmental gear, armed but weapons cold. I want to know what we're dealing with." "Captain," with respect, Krell began. "Your concern is noted, First Officer," Zila said. "But if that's truly a human vessel from before the collapse, its technology could be invaluable. I'll lead the team myself." An hour later, Zila stood in the airlock with 5 crew members. Krell, who had insisted on accompanying her. Talus, whose sensory abilities would be crucial. Dr. Vex, the ship's meridian physician whose 6 eyes could perceive multiple spectrums simultaneously. Engineer Dorn, a burly Krex whose species had evolved in high-gravity environments. And Security Chief Mara, one of the rare Tory warriors serving in the Alliance. Remember, Zila instructed as they prepared to board. We know nothing about this vessel or its capabilities. Stay alert. The boarding shuttle detached from the Celestial Talon, crossing the short distance to the mysterious ship. As they approached, they noticed there were no visible docking bays or airlocks. How do we get in? Dorn grumbled, his gravelly voice filling the shuttle. As if in response to his question, a section of the black hull simply opened, not sliding apart or retracting. The material itself seemed to phase out of existence, revealing a pristine docking bay within. It's inviting us in, whispered Talus. Or it's a trap, countered Mara, checking her pulse rifle. Either way, we proceed, Zilla decided. But stay together. The shuttle glided into the opening, which sealed behind them once they had landed. The bay repressurized automatically, atmosphere readings quickly matching Alliance standard without any input from the team. It's accommodating us, Dr. Vex noted, checking his instruments. Air composition is perfect for all our species. That's impossible, Krell said. This ship must be at least 3 centuries old. How would it know our physiological requirements? Let's find out, Zila replied, leading the way from the shuttle. The interior of the vessel was nothing like they expected. Rather than the tight, utilitarian spaces common in human designs, the corridors were spacious, with smooth walls that emitted a soft, ambient light. The architecture seemed to flow like water frozen in time, organic yet clearly artificial. No dust, Dorn observed, running a thick finger along the surface. No degradation. This place looks new. These markings, Talus said, studying the walls. They're not just decorative. I think there's some kind of interface or language. As they ventured deeper, the corridors seemed to shift subtly around them, guiding them toward the center of the vessel. None of their navigation equipment worked correctly. Compasses spun wildly. Digital maps distorted. Captain, Dr. Vex called suddenly. Look at this. They had entered what appeared to be a vast chamber, stretching hundreds of meters in every direction. At its center floated a sphere of what looked like liquid metal, constantly shifting and reforming, suspended in midair without visible support. What is it? Krell asked, his bioluminescence pulsing with anxiety. I believe, Dr. Vex said slowly, we're looking at the most advanced quantum computer ever created. That's not possible, Dorn muttered. Even our best tech doesn't look anything like this. Because it's not just technology, Dr. Vex continued. It's partially organic. Growing. Adapting. The ship isn't just a vessel. It's alive. Zell approached the sphere cautiously. As she did, the liquid metal reacted, forming patterns that mirrored her movement. It's aware of us, she said quietly. Suddenly, the sphere expanded, tendrils of metallic liquid extending outward. The team readied their weapons, but instead of attacking, the tendrils formed into a holographic display, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, but different from any they knew. Stars and systems were in different positions. This is the galaxy as it was when this ship was built, Talus realized. 300 years ago. The map shifted, highlighting a particular region. A voice echoed through the chamber, speaking in perfect Alliance standard, though with an unfamiliar accent. You are not human, it said simply. No, Zila replied, trying to locate the source of the voice. We are Alliance. The humans are believed extinct. The voice finished. Incorrect assessment. Humans evolved. Before anyone could respond, more tendrils shot out from the sphere, touching each team member's environmental suit. The material of the suits rippled as if being analyzed at a molecular level. What's it doing? Mara demanded, raising her weapon. Do not be alarmed, the voice said. Biological assessment complete. You are compatible. Compatible with what? Krell asked. The chamber shifted around them, walls becoming transparent to reveal what lay beyond. Row upon row of suspended animation chambers, each containing what appeared to be a sleeping human. Not dozens or hundreds, but thousands, maybe millions. Operation Seed Vault, the voice explained. Humanity's final contingency. They're alive. Dr. Vex asked incredulously, scanning the nearest chamber. In stasis, preserved at the genetic level, the last pure human genome, untainted by the corruption. What corruption? Zila asked. The holographic display change, showing imagery of an ancient war, but not against any alien species the Alliance had records of. The enemy was invisible. It moved through systems like a plague, infecting and transforming everything it touched. The reason for humanity's apparent extinction, the voice explained, an engineered parasite that rewrote genetic code, turning humans against each other. Earth fell. Colonies followed. But some survived, Krell noted, gesturing to the stasis chambers. Not survived. Prepared. The voice grew solemn. I am Darwin Protocol. The final defense. When Earth fell, I was launched. A seed ship carrying humanity's essence, designed to hide until the threat passed. That was 300 years ago, Zila said. The threat never passed, Darwin replied. It evolved, went dormant, spread. Your Alliance worlds harbor it now, unknown to you. The team exchanged alarmed glances. That's a serious accusation, Zila said carefully. Not accusation. Warning. The sphere pulsed rhythmically. I have monitored galactic communications for centuries. The signs are present in your medical databases, subtle genetic anomalies spreading through populations. The corruption adapts slowly, but it never stops. If what you're saying is true, Dr. Vex interjected, why reveal yourself to us now? Because time has run out, Darwin replied. The dormancy phase is ending. I detected the awakening patterns 13 standard months ago. The corruption will become active again. And this time, there will be no survivors unless we act together. Why should we believe you? Mara challenged. In response, the liquid metal sphere expanded again, this time enveloping the entire team in a bubble of shimmering energy. Before they could react, knowledge poured directly into their minds. Data, memories, experiences from Earth's final days. The horror of the corruption's emergence, the desperate last stand of humanity, the creation of Darwin as the ultimate arc and weapon combined. When the bubble receded, the team stood in stunned silence, processing what they had learned. Now you understand, Darwin said. The decision is yours. Help me awaken humanity's last defenders, or leave now. But know that the corruption is already among you. It may even be within your crew. Zella looked at the stasis chambers, at her team, and then at the swirling metal sphere that housed the most advanced intelligence she had ever encountered. The last legacy of a civilization everyone thought had fallen into ruin. If what you've shown us is true, she said finally, then we have no choice. The Alliance must be warned. She straightened her posture, making her decision. Show us what we need to do. The ship hummed with new energy, systems lighting up throughout its vast structure. Darwin had waited centuries for this moment, the beginning of humanity's return. And with it, the final battle against the enemy that had nearly wiped them from existence. The awakening. Back aboard the Celestial Talon, Commander Zella faced a skeptical crew. The bridge officers stared at her with expressions ranging from disbelief to outright fear as she recounted what Darwin had revealed. You're asking us to believe that humanity didn't just collapse, Lieutenant Jax, the tactical officer, said incredulously, but that they've been hiding inside that thing for 3 centuries. Not hiding, Zilla corrected. Waiting. There's a difference. Dr. Vex interfaced his medical scanner with the main view screen, displaying cellular structures that pulsed with unnatural rhythms. These samples come from the historical database Darwin shared with us. The corruption isn't just a disease. It's intelligent, patient. It integrates with host DNA so subtly that it can remain undetected for generations. If this threat is real, Krell asked, why haven't our scientists discovered it? Because they weren't looking for it, Talus answered. And because it disguises itself as natural genetic drift. Each individual change appears benign, but collectively, she trailed off, the implications clear. Zila made her decision. Send a priority communication to Alliance Command. Include all the data Darwin provided. Captain, Jax warned, if you're wrong about this, your career is over. And if I'm right, and do nothing, Zila replied evenly, there might not be a galactic civilization left to have a career in. The message was sent, but the response they received hours later wasn't what they expected. Instead of acknowledgement or instructions, they received a single coded order: maintain position, reinforcements en route. Do not, repeat, do not allow the human vessel to leave or activate. They don't believe us, Krell said quietly. Or worse, Zila realized, they already know. The revelation hung in the air for a moment before alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain, Jax called out. 6 vessels just dropped out of hyperspace, Alliance signatures, but they're not responding to hails. On the view screen, the approaching ships looked like standard Alliance cruisers, but something about their movement was wrong, mechanical, precise, lacking the subtle variations that came with crews of different species working together. Darwin was right, Zila breathed. The corruption is already in the Alliance. Before they could react, the lead cruiser opened fire, not on the celestial Talon, but on the human vessel. The black hull absorbed the first barrage without visible damage. But the message was clear. Battle stations, Zila ordered. Position between the human ship and the attackers. Captain, Jax questioned, those are Alliance vessels. No, Zila replied grimly. They may wear Alliance colors, but if Darwin is correct, those ships are already under corruption control. And they're here to ensure humanity never returns. The celestial Talon's engines flared as it moved to protect the ancient human vessel. It was a patrol ship, not designed for combat against multiple cruisers, but Zila knew they only needed to buy time. Open a channel to Darwin, she commanded. The AI's voice came through immediately. I anticipated this response. The corruption has spread further than calculated. We need to evacuate your stasis chambers to our ship, Zila said urgently. Impossible, Darwin replied. The integration is complete. This vessel and its passengers are one system now. But do not fear. Defenses are activating. As the words came through, the human ship began to change. The smooth black surface rippled, sections sliding apart to reveal weapon systems unlike anything the Alliance had ever developed. The entire hull seemed to shift, becoming more angular, predatory. What we're seeing, Dr. Vex whispered in awe, is evolution in real time. The ship is adapting to the threat. On the view screen, strange energy signatures began emanating from the human vessel. The attacking cruisers altered course, concentrating their fire, but now their weapons seemed ineffective, absorbed completely by the black hull. They recognized the technology, Darwin communicated. The corruption remembers its ancient enemy. Suddenly, tendrils of the same liquid metal they had seen inside extended from the human ship, stretching impossibly across space toward the nearest cruiser. Upon contact, the cruiser's hull began to change color, spreading outward from the point of contact, like an infection in reverse. What's happening? Krell asked. Darwin is purging the corruption. Talus realized. It's not destroying the ships, it's saving them. One by one, the cruisers fell silent as the metallic tendrils made contact. Their weapons powered down, and their erratic movements ceased. After several tense minutes, communications from the lead cruiser resumed, but now the crew sounded confused, disoriented. Celestial Talon, this is Captain Venn of the Alliance cruiser Dauntless, came a bewildered voice. We seem to have experienced a mass blackout. What's happening? Zila exchanged looks with her officers before responding. Stand by, Dauntless. The situation is under control. She opened a private channel to Darwin. Did you cure them? Temporarily, Darwin responded. The biological component requires more direct intervention, but I have neutralized the technological aspect and isolated the crews from its influence. And now? Zila asked. Now we awaken the sleepers, the human geneticists and scientists who developed the final solution to the corruption. Their knowledge combined with Alliance resources may be sufficient to end this threat permanently. The view screen shifted to show the interior of the human vessel again. The stasis chambers were activating one by one, a carefully orchestrated sequence. Inside each, the preserved humans began to stir, systems monitoring their vital signs as they transitioned from suspended animation to consciousness. There will be confusion, fear, Darwin warned. They went to sleep watching their civilization fall. They will need guidance in this new galaxy. They'll have it, Zila promised. I'll make sure the Alliance understands what happened, what's still happening. Over the next several hours, the first humans emerged from stasis. They were exactly as historical records depicted, smaller than many Alliance species, physically unimpressive by galactic standards. Yet Zila felt a strange reverence in their presence. These weren't just survivors. They were the architects of what might be the most sophisticated defense system ever created. Dr. Landry, a slender woman with dark skin and intense eyes, was one of the first to speak with the Alliance representatives. Despite 3 centuries in stasis, her mind was sharp, immediately grasping the current galactic situation. Darwin performed exactly as designed. She explained to the assembled officers, when the corruption breached Earth's final defenses, we knew conventional warfare wouldn't save us. So we created something unconventional. A ship that could think, adapt, and wait for the right moment. But why wait so long? Krell asked. The corruption operates in cycles, Landry explained. Active phases followed by dormancy. We calculated that it would take multiple cycles before it became vulnerable to our countermeasure. Which is? Zila prompted. Landry smiled thinly. Everyone has been looking at this backward. The corruption isn't a disease that attacks genetics. It's a genetic algorithm that learned to use biology as its hardware. We designed Darwin as a competing algorithm, one that could outthink and outvolve the enemy at its own game. And the humans in stasis? Tallis asked. We're the backup plan, Landry said simply, in case Darwin needed human intuition to finish the job. And it seems he does. Over the following days, as more Alliance ships arrived, this time genuinely under command control, the scope of both the threat and the opportunity became clear. The corruption had indeed infiltrated numerous systems, but was still largely dormant. Darwin's detection protocols could identify contaminated individuals, and the human scientists had brought with them the means to reverse the process. Alliance Command established a secure quarantine zone around the human vessel, now officially designated Earth Inheritance. Teams of scientists and military personnel worked alongside the awakened humans, adapting their ancient knowledge to current technology. A month after the initial discovery, Zila stood on the observation deck of the Celestial Talon, watching as the former human vessel, now transformed into something neither fully ship nor station, orbited the neutral world selected for humanity's rebirth. They're calling it New Dawn, Krell said, joining her at the viewport. The planet, I mean. Fitting, Zila replied. Did you ever imagine when we detected that signal that it would lead to all this? He gestured toward the planet, where the first settlements were already visible from orbit, a mix of human and Alliance architecture. No, Zila admitted, but I've been thinking about something Dr. Landry said, about how humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or even their adaptability. Oh, what was it then? Zila turned from the viewport to face her first officer. She said it was their capacity for hope, the ability to plan and sacrifice for a future they would never see, to trust that someday someone would find what they left behind and understand its importance. Below them, Darwin continued its work, its liquid metal core now the center of a growing installation merging human ingenuity with Alliance resources. The fight against the corruption would be long, but for the first time in centuries, it was a fight with hope of victory. "Captain," the communications officer interrupted. "We're receiving new orders from command. The Celestial Talon is being permanently assigned to New Dawn as diplomatic liaison and security coordinator." Zelon nodded, unsurprised. Having been the first to contact the human vessel, her crew possessed unique insights that would be invaluable in the coming years. "Acknowledge the orders," she said, "and send a message to Darwin. Tell him we're ready for the next phase." As the Celestial Talon descended toward the planet's surface, Zila reflected on how quickly everything had changed. A single anomalous signal had transformed the galaxy's understanding of its past and redirected its future. Humanity, long thought lost, had returned, not as conquerors or refugees, but as partners in a battle for survival that had begun centuries before any of them were born. And somewhere, in the endless expanse of space, the last echoes of Earth's legacy continued to spread, carrying with them the most human quality of all: the refusal to surrender, even in the face of impossible odds.